Kwanzaa, ceremonially, we light a new candle. You know, we start off with you know, the unity candle in the middle, you know, for Umoja. You know, we move out to the red Kujichigalia, and so on and so forth. You know, until the whole Kanara is lit up. You know, when you have your house, you know, dark, it's actually a beautiful sight, you know, to do with your family there. Speaking of families, I also have here, you know, representing the harvest, I have a basket. I actually have, you know, African cloth that's actually from Tanzania. And in the basket representing both the harvest and the children in our house, you know, we just have some fruit here. You know, you can use fruit, you know, some people use corn, but just representing the first harvest. You know, I actually have 2 apples here, you know, representing our girls here, and, you know, orange representing, you know, our little boy, TJ. So, yeah, so what I like to do is just get into the ceremony. So we do it like this every day. Habarigani. Yes, today is the 5th day of Kwanzaa. So today is NIA, which means purpose. Us just understanding that, you know, a life worth living is a life of purpose. You know, us understanding what we're about, you know, who the people around us are about, and us understanding our personal purpose, our family purpose, and our conjoined purpose together. You know, our awesome principle. So we have here the candles lit for the other days of Kwanzaa, and now we're moving into NIA, which is purpose. And for purpose, we're going to light this green candle here. You can say it with me. NIA. Harambe. And remember, may the principles of Kwanzaa carry through, not just through this Kwanzaa season, but all throughout the year. Peace.
The Declaration of the International Black Summit.
Come on, come on.
We declare ourselves, our community, and all communities whole and complete.
There's nothing to do except be.
We assert that we are responsible for generating community as possibility and distinction.
We listen for and grant being to the possibility and creation of unpredictable results.
Our conversation of, about, and for those of African descent is one of power, self-generation, abundance, responsibility, unity, and integrity with the possibility of being.
We stand for the expression of our spirituality,
ending the murders of our men, women, and children.
Building economies responsible for funding our community.
Maintaining wellness of being in our bodies.
Providing human services.
Establishing, nurturing relationships.
Altering the conversation of who we are in the media.
Empowering our youth.
We declare that our community manifests itself in the world
as a contribution in the transformation of the universe.
Atlanta, Georgia, October 7th, 1991. Everywhere in the world, July and August 2021.
Welcome, everybody, to day 5 of the Kwanzaa celebration. NIA is day 5 of Kwanzaa that we will be exploring today. We're going to be interviewing several people from the International Black Summit, one of the many collectives that were invited to participate in this wonderful extravaganza. This is the brainchild and baby of Dr. Byron Johns, who is a summit participant, a summit graduate, a summit energizer, and this is some of the fruit that his participation has produced. So just to give you a little bit of background of what the summit is. So it's the International Black Summit Incorporated. We're a nonprofit organization. And I'm one of the co-founders along with Pat Reed Porter. And how the summit came into being is in 1990. Well, if you've ever had a need to really express yourself and really dive deeply into what it means to be a person of African descent and a human being, and you needed a safe space to do that, I realized that I didn't have a safe space in my life to do that. And the summit came out of that very need. So our first gathering happened on October 7th, 1991 in Atlanta, Georgia. And as a young Black adult activist said, and I just came upon this quote, probably late last year or so. She said, create the environment that you need to thrive. And that embodies how the summit came into being. And I'm going to introduce to you Glenn Greenwich, a good friend and fellow summit participant who has been about that purpose all of his life. And he's going to share with you specifically today how he enlivens the world, participates in the transformation of the universe, life, and of people's lives in his particular way. Glenn?
Wow, I like that intro. Oh my goodness. So, hello everybody. My name is Glenn Greenwich. I'm from Jamaica, Queens, New York, and I love what I do. I'm an executive director for a business improvement district, which is basically economic development and support for the businesses in my district. So I promote them, market them, deal with any problems that they have. And a lot of that type of work has been actually highlighted and enhanced by the International Black Summit. I was part of a group called People of African Descent Empowerment Group in New York. When I got the call, the summit called and said, you're the New York contact. We want you to let the people in New York know. And we were doing work and we were establishing people of Black African descent training programs. So we were looking to get them involved, get them trained, because we knew that if we had people trained in our community, that our community would be impacted. And that's back in 1990. And then of course the summit started in 1991. And so I was contacted, and 8 of us from the New York area joined the first summit. And one of the things about the summit that was so powerful is that when I walked in, people had heard and knew about the work that we were doing in New York. And there was kind of like a murmur. Oh, that's the brother from New York. That's the brother from New York. And for me to walk into a conversation of 120 people of Black African descent who were powerful around this work, and to just get that acknowledgement for me was purpose enough to have me be participating in this 30 years later. And with that, I'm a facilitator for the, in fact, I was one of the first training, facilitator trainings that took place, and been a facilitator ever since. Flash forward, in 1994, the youth that were being brought to the summit by their parents stood up and said, look, we want to have a platform to speak our conversation to young people of our ages. And so from 1994 to 1995, there was a training program put together so that the youth facilitators would get trained. And I had the luxury and the opportunity to be part of that conversation, because I had my daughter. I wanted her to be part of that. She was one of the youth that were dragged there by their parents, and so she wanted to be part of it. And so she had to. She went through the training as well, and she ended up being the youngest senior youth facilitator of the group at 8 years old. And most of the youth were 11, 12, 13, 15, and 16. And so I've been involved with the Youth Summit ever since that conversation.
Well, Glenn, that's just given the whole amazing history and of yourself and your participation in the summit and the summit itself. And I thank you for that. So what is it, given the magnitude of present and future challenges that young people, that youth face, what do you see specifically that the Youth Summit can offer to them as a support?
Well, you know, that's interesting because one of the first things that we have any youth that's participating in the summit, we get them to stand up and public speak and speak into the group so that they get comfortable with themselves speaking and participating. So we get through that shyness because I think that that's an important part. You know, they say that so many adults are afraid of public speaking. So that's one of the things that we really orientate them to begin to stand up and speak into a crowd, speak into the space. And we also offer them a comfortable place where they can begin to know who they are. And we have questions about, what do people say about Black people? What do you say about Black people? And you begin to engage in all of the conversations about who we are as Black folks. And we use that as a platform to orientate themselves so that they can get who they are. And of course, we always get to the good, the bad, and the ugly, but we include it all because that's all part of our culture. The young people created their own curriculum. So the adults who are part of the conversation allow them the liberty and the flexibility and the ownership to actually create the curriculum. And we have most of that curriculum still in use today.
The purpose of the Youth Summit, the International Black Youth Summit, we exist to facilitate the connection, self-expression, and empowerment of young people of African descent around the world. We are young people making our visions real in our communities and exemplifying the principles of youth, transformation, love, and possibility as a powerful approach to the universe.
Yeah, isn't that powerful?
Oh, I have to take a minute, literally, just to take a breath and be still in the presence of that. I can just get the power that's coming, the confidence that's coming through that.
No youth under 18 can participate without some guardian or someone being responsible for them, parent or guardian present at the summit. So that's first and foremost. And initially, they were all parents. As we got further along in the years, sometimes you would assign a guardian or someone who was friends with the parents that was a previous summit participant to come. And so we've done that so that to make sure that, we want it to be a safe space. We wanted them to know that their child is protected, and most formally, that they have a space to say whatever they need to say about themselves, about what they're bumping up against, and what their challenges are and so forth. And so, that's an important piece. And that's not just an important piece in the Youth Summit, but that's an overall conversation in the International Black Summit, that we create a safe space for people to really speak and deal with whatever their issues are. When I think of vision, and there's over the years, there's so many examples. There's so many examples of people seeing some possibilities for themselves, even in the younger ones. I remember in Anguilla, we talked about but what do you see for yourself? And couldn't have been more than 7 years old. I want to be a forensic doctor, scientist. I'm like, I need 7 years old. I didn't even know what forensic meant, much less, you know, but you have that kind of visioning that they have, that they see and that they're exposed to. And I'll give you one more example. When we were in Guyana, we were able to get some youth that were from a poorer section, a very poor section of Guyana. And they were there, you know, we arranged transportation. And one of the processes that we do towards the end of the summit is we have them create a vision for themselves. And again, vision is an important part of the summit. And so with youth, it's even more important. And so we asked them to create a vision for themselves. Now we're talking about 7, 8 year olds up to about maybe 13, I think, or 14 was the oldest person in there. And if they designed a community for themselves that included shopping, movie theater, a new school, a pool, you would think that these were city planning people that came up with the things that they had envisioned. And interestingly, one of the guys that was working in production, who was from Guyana, couldn't believe that these youth came up with these things on their own. So it was, you know, so the power of visioning and allowing that vision to take hold and to be creative on any level is powerful. And then when you're able to adapt and get attached to that at a young age, you know, miracles happen all along the way.
4 continents, over 20 plus cities later, our annual summit event, which is always the first weekend in August, somewhere on the planet. So I've heard from people to say in Ghana, in the global South, that young people are checking out because they don't have the opportunities in their countries. They don't have really great connectivity with the web and things like that, you know, and there's poverty to deal with and other things, you know, they've come from traditional cultures and then they're 21st century people as well. So can you speak to how the Youth Summit could help young people bridge some of those gaps?
Well, the first place I'm going to speak to is that we listen. People get listened in the International Black Summit, whether it's the adult or the youth. And when you're listened to, you then can come from a place of creativity. You begin to be more comfortable. And so inside of that, for me, you are truly able to create, you know, that you have the power, you have the vision, all of those things are now coming into play so that you are able to latch on to something that you're, you know, we talk about passion. You know, we actually have a passion exercise that we do, and we explore what is your passion? What is it that you like to do? You know, is it draw? Is it to work with your hands? You know, what do you see for yourself? And so inside of that, again, it's the visioning, and inside of, for me, inside of finding a vision, you also find your purpose. Your purpose is part of that connection that connects you to something bigger than yourself. And anytime that you're connected to something bigger than yourself, the personal things, that the challenges that you're working with or dealing with sort of become minimized. Not that they go away, because we also give you tools called distinctions to work through those day-to-day type challenges. So you're giving opportunities to see yourself, to own things, to be accountable, to realize that that there's no out there. So whatever you think you see out there is really pointing back at yourself. And so how do I reflect that? Trigger, those things begin to deal with the day-to-day living. And then you've got the vision and the purpose that you see as a possibility that you're living for.
Welcome, Mike. We are now speaking with Mike Walker Jr., a former participant in the International Youth Black Summit, 1996.
And also a facilitator.
And also a facilitator, okay.
Yes.
His first summit was 1996 in Atlanta.
That's right.
So we're going to be asking you, he's a husband and father of 3 daughters, and he's a Renaissance man. So that means that he is involved in a number of creative pursuits and is good at all of them. That's what it is to be a Renaissance person. So for instance, in addition to being a leader, public speaker, community activist, and organizer, he is involved in natural hair care, franchise management, and club security, which is something to think about, now that I'm saying all of that, something to think about for young people. I think it's increasingly natural for young people to have multiple avenues of creative practice and income.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the norm, AKA side gigs, right?
Yep.
And Mike and his wife, your wife's name?
Willa.
Mike and Willa have a podcast called Curses and Craziness.
Curse words and craziness.
Curse words and craziness. It's an artistic expression of life as parents of 3 children with autism. So we'll ask you a little bit about that. Currently, he's working on a book, books, scripts, and other entrepreneurial endeavors. I told you he was a Renaissance man. And his main focus in doing all of that is to have the time and freedom to love and cherish his family. So welcome, Mike, and thank you for making time in your clearly busy day.
My pleasure.
To come and speak with us. So first, what moved you to participate in the youth summit?
So you stated I'm 43 years old. My initial participation in the summit, I was 16. So my initial participation was to socialize. It was to socialize and meet beautiful Black women. And that is just being wholehearted and honest. That's why I showed up. That's how I got introduced to it. Jermaine Saunders, who was a senior youth facilitator, is my best friend, like a brother to me. He gave me a call. He said, some friends and I are hanging out at a hotel. You should come down. And that was my introduction.
Great. One of the things that I love about the summit, the whole summit conversation, the declaration, just meets all of us human beings where we happen to be at the time, meets us where we're at. So
that's right. That's right.
Absolutely great. And when you got there and you saw all of these beautiful Black women, in addition to that, and wonderful people that you met, what possibility did you see for yourself and what you're up to?
Again, I always like to reiterate, I was introduced to this in my youth. So I have the benefit of hindsight now.
Yes.
And seeing what I didn't see then. But then I saw the possibility of building something special with my peers. I didn't really know what it was. I had no idea what it was gonna look like, but after that initial introduction, I just saw a lot of powerful people my age and knew that something was gonna happen, something. Didn't know what it was, couldn't tell you what it was gonna look like, but I knew something special was happening and I wanted to be a part of it.
I got it. Well, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. how did you get to know Glenn? Was it was through the summit, the youth summit?
It was through the summit. Glenn was he was what they called the adult youth facilitator. So, but like I said, we were a lot of us were adolescents. So, you know, we still had to have a responsible adult present with us for a lot of the things that we were doing. And Glenn was one of the people that was in the room. I call it almost like going to battle with us, you know, as we went through the growing pains and difficult conversations in the room. Glenn was one of the adult people there present to steer us, you know, not necessarily tell us what to do, but give us guidance as to where we were heading and maybe what we wanted to do.
Okay, I got it. Now, how did your participation affect your family and your friends? Because one person walked into the room, somebody else left. Truly.
I have lived the summit conversation every day of my life since being there. So the conversation left with me and has been present with me since then. So when I engage with anyone, my parents, my siblings, friends, strangers, the summit conversation is always present. And I'm not sure if anyone is aware of this. I'm sure Glenn is, but I met my wife at the summit. So, so my wife and I were summit participants and facilitators. So it's always present in my everyday family. We have a clearing conversation 10 to 12 times a day.
Can you say just very quickly a little bit about what a clearing conversation is and what difference that makes in your lives and in the life of your family?
Oh man, a clearing conversation is an opportunity for both parties to speak their truth and come to a common ground. And for a marriage, there's nothing more important. There's nothing more important. My wife and I have been through trying times that we don't have time to get into right now. But the ability for us to have conversations and get clear has allowed us to get through it all. What the outside world would say is effortlessly, but it definitely took some work.
I quite understand. Thank you for sharing that. And you know, if you could look back when you said that 16-year-old Mike and who you are now and what young people, we'll just say, look at young people your age and younger and a little bit older, what concerns do you see, some of the pressing concerns and challenges for youth now and coming up in the future?
It's funny, I was talking to my wife about this a short while ago. The biggest, I guess, concern I have for the youth is they are responsible now for rebuilding a system that they are aware is broken. I think a lot of the wool has been pulled away, and young people see a lot clearer than we did at their age. And they have the responsibility of rebuilding this system. And when I say system, I mean family system. I mean the way society is going to operate, the way we relate to one another. Our young people have a heavy burden. I don't think it's something that they're not going to be okay with or can't handle, but it's definitely a heavy burden. And I feel like my generation, I feel like the International Black Youth Summit helped prepare our siblings for what they have to face. I think young people are way more in connection with their feelings. They have a better ability to express themselves, and they are more willing to express themselves than I feel like I was initially at their age. And so with those tools, I think they have everything they need to face what's coming for them.
Can you, from the summit, the declaration or the purpose of the youth summit, which I'll read again just to refresh your memory. We exist to facilitate the connection, self-expression, and empowerment of young people of African descent around the world. We are young people making our visions real in our communities and exemplifying the principles of youth, transformation, love, and possibility as a powerful approach to the universe. And given what you just said, what in all of that, if you can remember, are you really attracted to?
I hate to be so corny, but I'm attracted to all of that. That really embodies. Wow. Oh, I'm sorry. That really embodies how I move on the daily, and it's interesting to hear it again. You know, it's interesting to hear it again and realize how you've been living into the words that you declared so long ago. You know, wow. I'm sorry. I'm a little taken because, you know, we said those things and I don't know if we knew everything we were saying. And when I think about all of my peers and what we're into today and how we have moved since leaving that space, we've all lived into those things in one way or another. We've all made contributions to communities that we're in. We've all made contributions to the families that we've created. I'm a little shocked. I didn't think I would be so razzled. I forgot about the youth declaration. I remembered the summit declaration, but I forgot about the youth declaration. And when you said it just now, it woke something up. I can't stop smiling. I don't know if you can see that. I'm a little.
This is wonderful, Mike, to see you moved. So
yeah, I feel like
let me jump in.
Like I'm 16 again.
Well, that's wonderful.
Aloma, let me jump in for a second and point to, there's something about when you capsulize your vision and that purpose then becomes automatic, that becomes the action that you take on a daily. And at some point in time, it's a habit. And so you're not even present to it because you're about empowerment. You're about empowering the situations, the things that are in front of you. And so you're almost on automatic pilot inside of empowerment. And so I'm not surprised that the youth declaration wasn't present to you, but it was embodied in you. You've been living it and doing it and being part of it. And all of us have, the adults and the youth inside of this powerful summit conversation.
Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you, Glenn, and thank you, Mike. One last question. Mike, can you speak to what was your family life like when you got home? This different human being walked into the door and is a different human being ever since. Can you say what that was like for your family, perhaps?
It's funny. I would like to ask my parents what they think. Oh, it would be my mother now. My father passed recently. But what I remember most is seeing things differently and being able to decipher things differently. At the time, my reaction time was a little slower. So I would hear something and it would take a minute to register, and then I could, comprehend and respond. Now, because I practiced it for 20 plus years, that thing is instant. So for my family, I knew how to engage with my family members on their terms. I think, especially as a youth, you want people to engage with you on your terms. Come to me where I'm at. What the summit allowed me to do was hear better and be able to engage my family members on their terms, which made it easier to relate. Being able to know where my aunt is coming from and talk to her from there. And it be different from where my mother's coming from and talk to her from there. that was definitely one of the gifts that I got to bring to my family. My listening and my ability to communicate. That's how I was saying.
And Mike and I talked a little bit about that, because the power is in the listening. The listening is so powerful inside of the summit space, and it allows you to traverse, as Mike said, to whatever arena that you're in, corporate, cultural, sports, whatever. Different people from different walks of life. You're able to be where they are, and engage in a conversation that they're comfortable in. And Mike and I were talking about it, and people tell you
everything.
Even strangers. We're talking about even strangers, because there's something about the power of that listening. They get that you're a committed listener, and they just divulge, and you're instantly related, because you come from that. Yeah,
it's the type of tool that takes you everywhere. One of the reasons why I even consider myself a Renaissance man is because of my ability to listen. I can walk into a room and not necessarily be the most knowledgeable about what's being talked about, but if you give me a minute to keep listening, I'll figure it out. I'll understand the context of the conversation, and I can participate. And that has allowed me to walk into rooms where I didn't belong and fit in.
That is just so powerful. And that distinction, that tool you're talking about, the name that we have for it in the summit is authentic listening. Now that term is not, we did not coin the term. And we take the term authentic listening, and we sift it through the declaration of the International Black Summit, the purpose of the Youth Summit, the purpose of the Black Young Adult Summit, the purpose of the Adult Summit. So we're going to have future conversations, because this is just so rich. I can't stand it. I can't stand to let it go. But
and Aloma, let me add one more thing. For those who are listening, all of this takes place at the same time in different spaces. So you got the adults, you got the young adults, and then you have the youth, all in separate conversations, separate spaces, engaging in the same conversation. And the miraculous thing about it all is at the end of the conversation, we're all in the same place. Now, we may not start it in the same place, but we always end up in the same space, in different rooms and in different conversations.
Yeah, same day, different rooms. Yes. And now that we're digital, it could be anywhere in the world.
Yes.
It's always been anywhere in the world. I think we just
that's
didn't
true.
realize.
Yeah. So, but with the digital, because of COVID, the digital, as everybody has had to do, the being internet savvy and internet connected, connectivity is everything. So thank you both. This has just been such a wonderful, rich conversation. And thank you, Glenn and Mike, for being who you are in the world, for yourselves, your families, your communities, and ultimately for the whole universe. We just thank you. We love you both.
Thank you. Love you as well. It was great to have this conversation. And I thank you for bringing me back to that space. I feel youthful.
That's wonderful. I'm so happy. And thank Willa for us.
Yes.
I will. They say thank you, babe. She said, yes, you're welcome. No problem.
Okay, great. So we will talk with you again.
Yes. Big ups, Uncle G.
All right. Okay. Peace and blessings.
Yes, man. Thank y'all.
Mike, thank you so much. What an incredible.
Now I would like to introduce to you Julius Kwanzaa from Kumasi in Ghana, which is about 4.5 hours northwest of Accra. just give you a little bit of background about Julius. And Julius, just so you know, I've given you some new titles.
Okay.
Just since getting to know you. Julius is a dance instructor and choreographer. He's a visionary, and he is a recoverer of lost heritages. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. He is a recoverer of lost heritages and histories. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of background about Julius. In addition to that, youngest of 7 children. And his gift from God is dance. Ever since he was young, he was interested in dance. In what we would call elementary, middle school, his aptitude, his interest for dance showed even then. And he joined the school's cultural troupe. He was later accepted into a regional folkloric troupe as a professional dancer. And he also became a dancer in the prestigious Ghana Dance Ensemble in Accra. He's also danced in productions in country and out of country. One place where he did dance is India. So he's an international dancer and choreographer. And he is one of only 3 dance instructors employed by the government of Ghana in 3 different regions. And he's currently working, as we said earlier, in Kumasi, the national cultural capital of Ghana. Julius, is there anything in addition that you'd like to share with people about you?
I think you have said it all about me for now.
Okay. And the other thing about Julius is that he graced us with his presence. He participated in the International Black Young Adult Summit just this past August from Kumasi. He and 3 other young adults.
So I'm here working as a dance instructor, making sure that I encourage the folkloric troupe, that is the department of the performing arts in the cultural center over here, encourage them to do more, help with research, dive into some of the dance forms that are extincting to bring them back to life by using them as materials to put all these dances back onto the stage. So we're hoping to preserve the lost cultures and traditions. Basically, I also teach new dances and help modify the existing ones to suit the 21st century way of life. I want to take it upon myself to tell the story of the emergence of these first settlers, how they went by their daily activities, how they established the Akan civilization that has led to what is actually happening now, and all, for people to see that these people really existed and are still existing. Their story hasn't been told. It is just there living with the people. I don't see researchers doing so much to bring it out, or anthropologists working so hard to bring these things out.
Can you speak to how your project really exemplifies NIA, the 5th principle of Kwanzaa today, to make our collective vocation the building and development of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness?
Yeah, so this is just going to help with building the people and the community. If they get to know of their history, they know where they're coming from, that they can relate to what is happening to them currently, and to be able to plan for themselves in the future. That's where they can build themselves in their communities, and also help with the economic situations as well.
And I'd like you to speak about your participation in the International Black Young Adult Summit in August of this year, and how that is impacting your project. Because you shared with me that you have some obstacles, some pretty good obstacles to deal with. and how is both personally and professionally. So can you speak to how the International Black Youth Adult Summit is helping you to navigate what it's taking you to bring this vision into being?
Yeah, so with my participation in the International Young Adult Summit, I picked an empowerment as a tool that I was going to use to move on, because I realized that in our part of the world, and especially in my current situation, a lot of people in my community do not see what I could do. Even if I could, they would say I am actually not qualified or not the best person to be doing that. They look at my age, they look at my background in terms of academia, thinking that I do not have a certain qualification to be doing what I think I can do. So picking empowerment as a tool from the summit, I made sure that I wouldn't be stopped by any bad negative comments by any other person in my community.
So, I really see this as a contribution to opening up access to society, creativity, people learning what their gifts are, and then using those gifts to create whatever there is for them to create. I'm going to read the purpose of the International Black Young Adult Summit, which is to provide an opportunity for participants ages 18 to 35, a space for reflection, communication, mentorship, and growth through vision creation and implementation. This conversation empowers young adults to powerfully transition to adulthood equipped for global success.
So I realized that the 21st century is actually what is happening now, the 21st century, and the technology is what is taking the world now. And I am actually being a parcel of it. So I couldn't have lived in the past and watched things happening bypassing me. So there was a need to make the traditional way of life find its way into the contemporary world and be more appreciated. By that way, merging the two to make a lot of statements. Because even if you have the traditional and you live by it and you do not have access or try to push it through the digital world, you still have nothing. And it is one thing that I learned during the summit, that there shouldn't be a barrier between the traditional way of life and the digital world. We can actually find a way to marry the two and make a lot of progress.
As a young Black adult activist said, and I just came upon this quote, probably late last year or so. She said, "Create the environment that you need to thrive." And that embodies how the summit came into being. It is the environment that not only myself, but many, I dare say maybe all people of Black African descent need to thrive. So who we are in the summit is we are a diverse body of people who are leaders and members of collectives, different types of collectives in their communities, in their families, in their workplaces, in the arts, economics, religious denominations, politics, you name it. The summit is full of people who are actively engaged with the declaration and the fulfillment of the International Black Summit. And as you heard in the declaration that was so beautifully delivered by people of Black African descent in the diaspora worldwide, the declaration is the heart and soul, the core of who we are and what we're about in the International Black Summit. And by the way, the person who produced, organized, and coordinated, came up with the idea for basically almost singing the declaration, of having the declaration be present in the form of people delivering it, out of their heart and soul and minds and bodies and their lives is the person that we are going to be interviewing next. And I would so love to introduce to you Dawn Armstrong. She's going to share a little bit about herself and what it is that drew her to the summit in the first place, her current accountabilities, and what is the driver, the passion, the spirit, the fire in her belly that has her participate in the summit in her own life and just be as magnificent a person and a good friend as she is. So Dawn, I'll give you just a hair of a little bit is so much to her. Well, she has 2 master's degrees, one in library science and the other in theological studies. She has over 25 years of experience in the communications and corporate training arena. And she's currently using this background to further diversity, equity, and inclusion issues, among other things. So that gives you a little bit of a sense, and she's a mom, gives you a little bit of a sense of who this magnificent person who is coming to us from Toronto, Canada, originally from Jamaica, who this magnificent person is.
Who I am is really just someone that loves my community. And it's strange enough, I call myself bold. Bold, Black, older woman, older lady with a disability. Because, it's linked to the whole purpose of the summit, the declaration actually, about really who we are and just being, loving who I am. My first summit was 2001 in Memphis. I was drawn there by reasons I can't even tell you other than this is for me. These are my people. This is my community. And it was totally transforming. It was amazing. I finally got from going to the summit that I was the one standing in my way. And I realized, got a sense of my triggers, and I was able to actually move them out of the way. Certainly they keep coming up, but I was given the tools to be able to move them out of the way, and people in the summit, a community that could really be there and help me clear and understand my own life as I went on. So it's been great.
The purpose of the International Black Summit is to provide an opportunity for participants to bring into being their vision for the Black community and the world. So what the summit does, as Dawn was saying, provides a clearing, a space where people can come, get themselves clear enough to hear what life may be speaking to them and have a means to.
Well, as I said before, the whole idea of just being, that we are all whole and complete. The first part of the declaration is what I guess impacted my life all the time, but especially recent years when I had a stroke. When I had a stroke and I was in a hospital, people from all over the summit kept on calling me, kept on lifting me up. Talk about collective. Talk about people coming together and reminding me that I can be great, that I am great. That is NIA right there when I didn't know practically who I was at that time. That community, that collective helped me see. And that is what we also want to give to young people as they go into themselves. And I can realize that I can have a disability and still be whole and complete and still be a part of the collective development of my community. So that itself is powerful.
Yes. Absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit about your involvement in the International Black Young Adult Summit, how you got there, what your inspirations were, and your future visions for it?
Okay. Well, how I got there was my nephew was shot, and when I went to his funeral, there were tons of people, young adults, 18 to 35. And I just saw that they seemed to be looking for something as I spoke to them. And I felt this, I was not there for my nephew. So I really wanted to be there for young adults in some way as a part of the Black Summit, the International Black Summit. And I had that in my mind for a couple of years. Then I met this amazing lady named Maloma. I heard her and something just told me to.
And I remember I was just noticing, and for my own part, the absence of young adults, Black young adults, and just pining and hungering for it and praying about it. And in my spirit, you know whose name and image popped up. I'm speaking with her right now. And I got the same message, call her up. Now, you said you were just struck by the young adults who there just seemed to be a general sense of they were waiting for something, longing for something. So could you say a little bit more about that and how you see and how the Young Adult Summit has impacted?
Mm-hmm. Well, even in my own life, I'm fortunate enough to have quite a bit of young adults around me who they come to me asking for questions about career, about jobs. They just want guidance, mentorship. And so the summit was just a perfect place for them. And what I had seen in terms of how the young adults connected, and they seemed to bring a sense of love, of belonging to each other. So I said, yeah, that's it. This is what these young people need. The issue, however, is that they really do need it from each other. So we have to figure out a way of getting more young adults in there speaking to each other because they love hearing from each other.
Yes, absolutely.
The two participants that we had from rural Jamaica are people, they're young adult, I'd say they want to be professionals. So they're really working on it. And this was a great opportunity for them to really connect with other young people from around the world. I spoke to the Max. I was recently in Jamaica, and they're still excited about the summit and about the connection, about the opportunity that it brings. And it excites me to now be able to reach out to other young black adults and knowing that we're giving them hope just by bringing them together. So
yes,
it's wonderful.
Working collectively to build communities that will restore the greatness of African people.
Yeah, especially that. Let's talk about it from the perspective of Jamaica. It's like they don't have the opportunities. And here we are coming from outside America and enabling them to see that you're not stopped by lack of opportunities. That opportunity is within you. And when they work not only within themselves, but with people in their country, outside of their country, and build that collective, they start to see who they are and the greatness that they are. And they just start doing things and being interested and finding hope that really wasn't there before. So that's amazing.
Great. Thank you, Dawn, because what I'm hearing is not only are they empowering their local communities, they are part of a global community.
Possibility, it's a driver, knowing that you can become what you didn't know before.
Well, thank you so much, Dawn, for taking your time and for to come and share with us, to celebrate NIA with us today, and for everything that you are doing in multiple collectives and communities of which you're a part.
NIA, we're spirits sent to serve an earthly mission for us to do, not defined by our titles or our money. That's the rule. Listen to the Creator. He has the blueprint for your design. Listen to the Creator. He has the blueprint for your design. A purpose-driven life keeps you aligned with the divine. NIA.